The nightmare for any Japanese learner is the kanji script. So the question worth asking is, how should one learn kanji? To discuss this useful topic, here is the 16th lesson of this series on my YouTube channel, Saral Japani. Hello friends, this is Sujoy Chatterjee welcoming you in today's lesson. Till now in this series, we have completed 15 lessons, which included the introductory lessons on Japanese, followed by detailed discussions on hiragana and katakana scripts. Important aspects like intonation, pronunciation, conversion of foreign words from foreign languages to Japanese were discussed in detail. Also, numbers and counting method was understood. From today, we are going to start our discussions on kanji. Lesson 16, how to learn kanji. The prerequisite for this lesson is lesson 3, which is the evolution and origin of the Japanese script, introduction to kanji, and connection between kanji and the kana scripts, hiragana and katakana. So in case you have not watched the video of lesson 3, it is highly recommended that you go through that video first so as to have a background of kanji and then return back to this video. What is kanji? So although we have discussed this in lesson 3, let's have a quick recap of what we know about kanji. Before the Japanese phonetic kana scripts, hiragana and katakana were evolved, Japanese language was written using the Chinese ideographic symbols. Later, the kana phonetic characters were developed by simplifying the Chinese ideograms. However, many original Chinese ideograms were retained in Japanese, and these are called the kanji symbols in the Japanese script. So, kanjis are nothing but Chinese ideograms that are included in Japanese writing. Japanese is written by the combination of kana and kanji characters. Kanji are used to represent ideas. Although there are thousands and thousands of Chinese ideograms, around 2000 of them have been made part of the Japanese script, and the exact figure approved by the Japanese Education Ministry is 2136 kanjis. So wherever it is possible to use kanji ideograms, we use those characters in the writing, in the Japanese writing. And then we have katakana for writing the non-Japanese origin words. And hiragana is basically used for the grammar and to connect the kanjis with grammar and for any words that cannot be expressed using kanji or in case the kanjis are too complicated for that particular word. In those cases, hiragana is used as it simplifies the text. Now, why people find kanji learning difficult? So this is the reason we have chosen this topic for today's lesson, that the learners of Japanese language find kanji learning the most difficult aspect of the process. So the reasons, there could be several reasons. The first is kanjis appear to be complicated. Hiragana and katakana are simple phonetic alphabet based system of writing, whereas kanji is a pictorial method, and that's why it is more complicated. The number of kanjis is too high. Hiragana and katakana we have 46 characters each. However, kanjis they go into thousands. Almost more than 2000 kanjis are there in the Japanese system. So learning all those requires time as well as uh, memorizing them is also difficult. Most of the languages these days are phonetic and alphabet based. So people in most countries are not usually familiar with this ideographic style of writing. So this is another reason why the beginners of Japanese learning, they are unable to associate kanji with their own languages. Then inappropriate methodology of learning kanji. This is a very important reason why kanji appears to be difficult. And last but not the least, negative influence from friends and colleagues who talk negative about kanji learning. So these are the reasons why people find kanji learning difficult. Then how should one learn kanji? The first step towards kanji learning is mastering hiragana and katakana before we move into kanji. One must feel confident when starting to learn kanji. Before being able to recognize and write hiragana and katakana boosts confidence in the learner at beginner's level. Confidence makes all the difference. When one is confident of writing and reading kana characters and words, he will naturally gain interest in learning kanji. So the summary of this step is that if the learner knows hiragana and katakana well, then he will naturally be motivated to proceed with learning the next script, the third script, which is kanji. So let's see if you can read hiragana and katakana words easily. So we are going to provide 4 words. Let's see if you can read. So these are the 4 words. 2 of them are in hiragana and 2 in katakana. Can you read these words? Okay, now let me show you the answers. Tokyo, camera, kudamono, escareta. If you could read these words correctly, or at least 3 of them correctly, then you are all set to begin kanji learning. And if not, then it is recommended that you first learn hiragana and katakana, and you should be able to recognize words written in these 2 scripts, and also you should be able to write them. Only after that you should proceed to kanji learning. Otherwise, all 3 scripts will make you more confused, and like that will lead you to nowhere. The second step is starting with the radicals, that is the building blocks. To have a clear understanding of anything, one must begin from the fundamentals or basics. To build a strong and reliable building, one must have good building materials or good building blocks. And in the same way, for better understanding of the kanjis, one must begin from its building blocks, and the building blocks are called the radicals. So what is a kanji radical? Radical, the meaning of this word, the literal meaning is elementary, elemental, basic, or fundamental. In kanji, radicals are basically the building blocks of the ideograms or the kanji symbols. Each kanji symbol or character is made up of either a single radical or with 2 or more radicals. That is, composite character made up of 2 or more radicals or their variations. For example, this is the radical for person. This is a variant of the person radical. This is the radical for tree. And when we combine this variant of person radical and this tree radical, then we get something like this. So this is the character for rest and how this is derived and what is the logic behind this. So this is the person who is resting uh, along this tree. So this means this is the kanji for to rest or to take rest. So the purpose of writing all these here is that in this example, knowing the person and the tree radicals makes the understanding of the compound kanji character rest easier. So if we don't learn these radicals first, and if we directly move to learning this composite kanji, then it may be difficult. The logic may not be easily understandable. So that's why we should start from the radicals. Thus, one should begin the kanji learning process from the radicals, memorizing kanji as a combination of radicals or parts rather than as independent characters greatly simplifies the kanji learning process. Start with the simplest radicals and their variations, the 1 and the 2 stroke radicals, then follow it by 3, 4 and higher ordered ones. There are nearly 200 radicals and their variations. The exact figure is 214. So there may be different ways of learning the kanji characters. The first is learning 2000 kanjis as independent characters. And another way could be learning 200 radicals first and then deriving the rest 1800 characters from them. So which one of these do you think is the better one? Obviously, the second one, that is first learning the radicals and then deriving the rest of the characters from them. That will make the learning process simpler. Next topic is radical based or grade based. So till now we have seen the radical based approach. Let's see what is the grade based approach and how both the approaches should be considered in the learning process. One concern with the radical based learning approach is that some of the radicals may be quite complicated, sometimes even more complicated than a composite kanji. Look at the below kanji radicals. This is the radical for flute, this is the radical for turtle, and this is the radical for dragon. All these appears to be quite complicated. Even though they are radicals, the number of strokes involved in each of these is too high. On the contrary, look at the below kanji composite characters. This is the character for rest, which we have already seen. And this is another composite character, and it is used to represent to keep or to maintain. So if we compare these two lines, then we see that the composite kanji characters are simpler than these three radicals, flute, turtle, and dragon. So what does this imply? It implies that it is not necessary that the radicals will always be simple and the composite characters will always be complicated. It could be the other way around as well. So this means kanji radicals may also be quite complicated, and at times they may be even more complicated than certain composite kanji characters. Due to this reason, it is not advisable to learn all the 200 radicals together in the beginning of kanji study. Instead, the Japanese government's education ministry has released two separate lists of kanji characters. One is the Kyoiko kanji, which is the education based list, and another is the Joyo kanji, which is the regular use kanji list. So let's see what are these two lists and how we can incorporate these two lists in our learning process. First is the Kyoiko kanji. There are 1026 kanji characters in this list, and these are meant to be learned at the primary level or the elementary level, that is from grade 1 to grade 6. And in the Joyo side, we have total 2136 characters, out of which the 1026 are taken from this Kyoiko kanji. So 1026 are Kyoiko kanji characters, and in addition we have 1110 characters. And these 1110 kanji characters are taught at middle high and high school level, that is from grade 7 to 12. And in this way, in 12 years of the learning process, that is grade 1 to 12, students learn all 2136 characters that are approved by the Japanese government. So if one knows all these 2136 kanji characters, then the kanji learning process is completed for that person. Now, in the elementary level, a the grade wise demarcation is given here. In grade 1, 80 kanji symbols are to be learned, grade 2, 160, grade 3, 200, grade 4, 200, 5, 185, and grade 6, 181 kanjis. And both radicals and composite characters are included from grade 1 itself. So it's not like that only the radicals are learned first, but the learning process is based on the complexity, based on the increasing complexity. Also, in the Joyo kanji side, there is no formal distribution or categorization of these additional 1110 kanjis according to the grade levels. So all these kanjis are learned between grade 7 and grade 12. So the summary of this slide is that instead of adopting radical based learning approach, it is better to adopt the grade based approach, that is to learn both radicals and composite characters according to their increasing complexity as advised by the ministry. So in our case, we are going to start with the grade 1, the 80 kanjis, in the first phase of kanji learning, and after that we will move to grade 2. In this way, the learning of 1026 kanji characters will be completed in with time. So far what we have, step 1 is to master hiragana and katakana, and step 2 is to start with the radicals and the grade based approach. So what next? Next is step 3, find the origin and logic. For every radical or every composite character, one should try to find the origin and the logic behind them. Search on the internet, in books, or you can derive from your own imagination how a particular kanji character would have been derived. So for example, this is the person radical, this is the tree radical. So how did they come? From where did they come? So this we can see there is resemblance to a human, and this tree radical has resemblance, the structure has resemblance to this tree. So if we superimpose these two, we get this. So this is how we find the logic behind kanji symbols. So this is applicable for all the symbols. There must be some origin, some evolution, or some logic behind each kanji character. So if we understand those logic or the origin or the evolution process, then remembering those kanji symbols and associating them with the views that are expressed through them becomes easier. Step 4 is to have a proper learning and practice plan. To begin with, learn and practice 10 radicals or 10 characters a day. We can prepare week-wise schedule. Like for week 1, day 1 learn 1 to 10 radicals, day 2 revise 1 to 10 and learn new 11 to 20. Then on day 3, revise the previous 20 radicals and then learn from 21 to 30. Likewise, move ahead. So similarly, in week 2, we have day 1 revising all the symbols that we learned in week 1, and then begin with the next 10 symbols. And keep revising, and at the end of the week, test yourself if you are able to write the characters without looking at the chart. Likewise, week 3. So at the end of week 3, as per this example plan, 90 characters are learned. So this is just an example. You can prepare your learning plan based on your capabilities, abilities, and your schedule, that is whatever time you have for this learning. And the most important thing is to keep revising the previously learned radicals and composite characters while continuing to learn the newer ones. Otherwise, you will forget what you learned previously. So the revision process is very important, especially in this kanji learning process. Step 5 is real life observations. If you are in Japan or in China, Hong Kong, or Taiwan, where the pictorial form of script is in use, observe the kanji characters on advertisements, road signs, shop hoardings, public places, newspapers, and so on. These are few examples. You can see these are kanji characters written on this street sign. Then we have the kanjis for the fire hydrant. Again, some street sign. These are uh, hanged from the like these are advertisements uh, seen on the shops. Likewise, this is again lot of kanjis on shop hoardings. So try to understand the meaning from the context, even though you are unable to read them. So it's not that you will be able to read the kanjis displayed on the roads or the shops, but from the context, you may be able to guess the meaning of at least some of the kanjis. And if you are not able to find the meaning there, you can just scan them on your mobile or capture them on your mobile, and later on you can Google and find the meaning of those kanjis. So this will help to enrich your kanji vocabulary, and with passing time, you will be you will get familiar with the kanjis written on the streets. And not only in the kanji learning process, but also in day-to-day uh, like uh, outside activities, you will be familiar with those symbols, and that will make your life easier. And in case you are not, if you are not in Japan, then try to visit a Chinese shop in your city and observe the kanji characters printed on various food and other items. And from there also, you will get some familiarity with the with such pictographic symbols. Step 6 is to apply the already learned kanjis in sentences. Once you have gathered knowledge of an appreciable number of kanji characters by following the steps just discussed, it's now time to apply them in sentences. Try using kanji characters instead of hiragana words in simple cases. Frame your own sentences and use kanjis wherever possible and wherever applicable. This will make you more comfortable and adaptive to kanji. So the resistance that a learner generally has in the beginning, that will slowly go away, and you will be more and more receptive to kanji. Polish your kanji characters by making sure that you are following the correct stroke order while writing. This is very important, to follow the correct stroke order, and that was the case for hiragana and katakana as well. And in kanji, it is even more important. In simple characters, the impact of wrong stroke order may not be noticeable. However, incorrect stroke order in complicated kanjis may lead to a totally unrecognizable character. So that's the reason why the correct stroke order is very, very important in writing. So to summarize what we have seen, step 1 is to master hiragana and katakana. Step 2 is to start with the radicals, and along with that, the grade based approach needs to be followed. Step 3 is find the origin and logic behind the kanji characters. Step 4 is to have a proper and regular learning and practice plan. Step 5 is to gain real life experience of kanjis from the streets, symbols, street signs, advertisements, and hoardings. And step 6 is to apply the kanji symbols in sentences and to have the correct stroke order while writing. What else? There are some don'ts which we need to keep in mind before we start learning kanji symbols. Don't panic. Don't be afraid of learning. Don't get misguided or influenced by people who have built up a negative attitude towards learning kanji. Experience it yourself and decide yourself. Don't consider kanjis to be a burden or a blocking point in your learning process or in your JLPT target. Instead, consider it to be a challenge. Consider it as a challenge and overpower it through regular practice and learning. Don't be in a hurry. This is the most important thing. Don't be in a hurry. Kanjis cannot be learned or mastered quickly. It's normal to take months or even years. And as we have discussed, the Japanese students learn all the 2000 kanjis in 12 years. So from that, you can understand like how much time it should take. So forget about learning kanjis in a few days or in a few weeks or even few months, and just keep learning them at regular speed and practice and have a plan. Don't schedule JLPT without assessing the duration you will take to learn the required kanjis for that particular JLPT level. So only once when you are comfortable, then only schedule the exam. Otherwise, it will lead to stress and nothing else. And don't worry about mistakes. Finally, we can say that the world of kanji is super interesting. The phonetic scripts are monotonous, predictable, and boring at some point of time. And but on the other hand, kanji characters, each kanji character is a story, is an idea by itself. So trying to understand the meaning of a kanji character is just like going through a treasure hunt. It's really very interesting. So enjoy the fun, and with this information that the next 4 lessons of this series, that is lessons 17 through 20, will be on kanji learning. We shall be learning the 80 kanji symbols that are included in grade 1 of the Japanese learning system. So we shall be learning those 80 kanjis. We will see their meaning, their stroke orders, and their origin and the logic behind those symbols. So we shall be back with lesson 17 soon. That's all for today. We shall be back soon with lesson 17. Till then, happy learning. Goodbye. Sayonara.